Good morning, everyone. You are here for a Way Beyond the Basics Jamboard session. It is May 20th. Yay! And I am Bond, Virginia Bond, Bond like James, Virginia like the state. This is my last model schools training for the catalog this year, which is, this is like number 50. I've done a lot since October. This is a long catalog. So, all right. So today I thought what we would do is we're going to actually go into a Jamboard and we'll kind of work our way through. I'm going to do a little bit of what I consider to be like super basics. And they're not that they're basic. I feel like it's kind of like level the playing field when we talk about Jamboards. So let's just talk about what they are. So I think most everybody knows that it's a whiteboard in nature. And it's actually, the Jamboard itself is a physical board. Now I actually have one, but it's not in my office right now. It sits downstairs in one of our tech offices. And it's a 55-inch board. So that's a big TV, right? It's a big screen, and it was built by Google to be used for their virtual meetings for their teams across all of their international offices. Now, Google meets on like Mondays and Tuesdays, and they built this so that they could share documents and they could collaborate in a better space. So when we think about why it was made, that helps us understand how we can use it. So I've already started a board that looks like this, right? It's not very exciting, but we're going to kind of use it. And I'm going to take my document that I just gave to you and move it off screen, and I'm just going to kind of follow along. The main thing, I think one of the big things is to understand what Jamboards are. So there's two parts to it. Jamboards are whiteboards, right? But they have two words that are just very specific. So the vocabulary to them is pretty different. When we talk about slides, we talk about slides and decks. But when we talk about Jamboards, we talk about frames and jams. The big thing is called a jam. The individual pieces up here are called frames. So in slides, we would call this a deck, and then we would call each one of those an individual slide. So that's just helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat the link to this exact Jamboard. Now let me show you, I actually copied it. This is how you would do it in real life. You would come up here into the share button and you would come here and grab the link. Now, I'm just going to show you this because I'm going to change it out from underneath you before you go in. Jamboards default to only view. They're all like that. They're always in view. So when you come in, if you copy the link from here, your kids will only be able to look at it. So if you want to change it, you need to come in here, click change, and then come in here and click it again. Now, I think most of us are used to that. It's just helpful to know that it's like a double click to get into things like this. And what I thought I would do is I'd show you some different ways to kind of use the Jamboard, and then I'm going to do a couple in like real time for you so you can see them. So this is a great way to use just a Jamboard as a start block. You guys can come in, you can come to the sidebar over here, you can click and you can add a sticky. So I'm just going to say like, my name is Virginia, and I am a training specialist, which I think is a great way to do this. You can also do things like have kids put pictures in. I don't know why I put a little exclamation point in there, but whatever. So people can come in, they can add Post-its to things. So using the Post-its is a great way to take attendance, to ask questions. You can put a question up here. That's pretty simple. Now, I shared this to you by link, so there's 3 of you in here right now, and this comes to the conversation we had yesterday about docs, the difference between sharing by link and sharing by email. So when I share with you by link, I get you in as anonymous raccoon, anonymous dragon. Oh, that is so cool. And oh, someone today is the anonymous kraken. Everybody needs a good kraken in their life. That's a really interesting one. I like that. So, oh, and I got another one in. Oh, I don't even know what that is. An Arachus. I have to tell you, there are times I go in and I look these up to see what they are because I've never heard of them before. So when you come in, you have the ability to come in and you can click on that sticky and you can add to it. And feel free to do that because that's what this is all about. So feel free to come in. You can click on that link and you should be able to share it. I'm going to actually click refresh so you guys get the latest and greatest in that. And then you should be able to go in and can add a sticky into that. Now I shared this by link, right? Awesome. Look at, I shared it by link. And what you'll notice is that when you share to the board as a user, they stack on top of each other, which I'm going to tell you as a teacher, I love, because what it means is when my students are doing it, anybody who's entering from anywhere, their answers are all going to stack on top of each other. Why do I like that? It's because it's a little harder for kids to read answers from each other. I think that is a great feature. Now, when I do it, so I'll show you what happens when I do it, and I'm going to just save it. The stickies don't do that, okay? So there is a difference between being the owner of the board and being a user of the board, okay? So when the owner makes stickies, they will spread out. It's assuming that you want to leave a message. When a user uses a board, so anyone that you share a link with, even as an editor, but not the owner, they will stack on top of each other. It's just kind of a little different way to think about it. And I always say that to people, they're like, no, no, no. I'm like, trust me. Yes, yes, yes. So I think that's helpful when you understand that's how it works. Okay, so I'm going to take these out. So awesome. So that is frame number 1. So I shared by link. Now, what's really cool about this component about Jamboards is that they just recently came out with version history. So to get to version history, you have to go to the top right-hand side. You have to click on the 3 dots, and you'll notice all the way down at the bottom, you will see version history. And right there, when I come in, you will see that you are in as anonymous users. So we know from yesterday's training, because all of you were there, that because I shared by link, you're all anonymous. Now, if I had put your names in there and I had shared this by names, just like we did before, like we did yesterday, and you came and made changes with Sharon came in and she made a change to the system, it would then show in my version history with her name. So think about how you want to see it with your students. If you want it to be anonymous in nature, then you want to do it by name, right? You want to, no, if you want to do it anonymous in nature, you want to do it by link. Sorry, my brain is on a little bit of vacation here, not trying to do that, but just I'm not thinking well. If you want to do it by name so that you know who's doing what, you want to put it in by email address. That's when having that document of all their email addresses can be super valuable. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So I'm going to move over to the next frame. So now I put this in here. So all I do to go to the next frame, and you can do this, you come up to the top and you just move yourself over. Now, as you move over, look at, I can actually see you moving. So 2 people are still on the first frame. 2 people are on the second frame. I do love this because I'm able to see where my students are pretty easily. Okay, so now what I did is I made like a little activity. Now this is a really quick one. Move the stickies and match the 2 sets. It should say sets, not set. So you guys are going to work together to do this. There's not many of you, so move those stickies around. These big yellow stickies. It should have said move the yellow stickies. and match the two sets. So when we talk about moving things, when you click on it, you'll notice you want to see a four-sided arrow when you move something. So these stickies are stacked on top of each other. So you can click them, and what I want you to do is I want you to click them and just match them. So I'm going to let you do that. I know, somebody be the big brave dog. I don't care if it's wrong or right. There you go, there's one. Keep going. Got a little bit more. Which ones go together? Okay, got them side by side. Yeah, perfect. And so you can do this kind of activity with your students. I made these really large, right? And you could do it like this so they can almost overlay like this so you can see which ones go together like that. I didn't use extra colors, but these will also shrink. So they can do this too. You can make them and you can shrink them. So you can have an entire stack of them and then you can move them. Students can shrink them when they think the decks are correct, when the ones are correct the way they want it. So I put a direction up here in the top hand corner. And then I came down here and I actually, not the best way, but I actually put like an extension activity. So, and this is not a perfect one for this matching, but it's an idea of what you could do. So why did you match them this way, right? And it could be like, these are the vocabulary words. This is how they match. They go with this, whatever. But the students could come in and edit a sticky. So what does that mean? They can click on the dots here and they can click edit. I think that's always valuable. And this is a good way to kind of work your way through. You can have these kind of things, or you can just say, why did you match them this way? Create a pink sticky to show me what that's going to be. So they can do this all over the place, these kind of activities, pretty simply. So I want to talk a little bit more about moving. So if you just grab an arrow like this and you get just the plain old arrow or the plus sign, this will rotate, right? This is a rotation on the big circle, the one with the arrow. So I can also rotate these, which is kind of cool, but I can't resize. So kids will get irritated with that. If you grab a different arrow, a different corner, excuse me, you will get the resize button, and you can see that I can make them pretty large. I can make them pretty small. So this is by the way, this is a nice trick. You can make a Post-it huge, hide stuff underneath it, and then come into it and like move it around. That's another trick that you can kind of do. So we move with a four-sided arrow. We change size with a two-sided arrow. And we rotate with the corner with the movie arrow on it. Right? Okay. Pretty simple. I think those are some big things. Let's go to the next frame. So we'll go to frame 3. So we don't have to do this, but this is an example of how to use a feature within the system that is just something very simple, as in here's an image and I gave you like a sticky. So students can come around, can put stickies around the outside. Now there's lots of ways to do this. You could put a question in there and have students answer around the outside. Now, if you wanted to do this anonymously, or you didn't want to put in email addresses, is there any way around that I can see who does what? There sure is. I can have my students grab a sticky, and I could just have them put their initials at the beginning with a colon and then type their answer. So that's kind of like a little hack around things. So like this, and then they can take it and they can put it here. Now you can do pros and cons. You can do, what do you think this is? When your students type their answers, they're all going to stack it on top of each other. And then you will have the ability to unstack them, which is very, very cool. Yes, students can come in, can do all their answers. They can unstack them as a team and put them where you think they should go. They could all give an answer. They can match them up. That's always good. You can kind of put them on the clock for those kind of things pretty simply. Sorry, I'm getting like notifications. My boss just moved our team meeting to right now. Guess I'm not going to be there. Okay. What else can I do in here? So there are some key commands in here that I can do too. I can actually Control Z, right? So Control Z will undo what I just did. And I don't know if you know that, but that's like one of my absolute favorite. You also have an undo button up here. The Control Z just makes me super happy because it makes my life easy. I can also copy paste. So I can copy paste, right? And I can have lots of those. And you can just Control Z. So the copy C is, Control C is copy, Control V is paste. They work in here. You also have the duplicate. Now I can also, I'm gonna paste a couple of these in because I have copied that and I'm gonna paste a couple. And I'm going to just change the color of them, just the color of a couple of them for just a minute. I'm going to change it. I want to change this one to blue. Excuse me. I went the wrong way. I'm just going to change one to blue, save, and then I'm going to change one to yellow, maybe orange. I like orange. Okay, save. Now, I also, you'll notice in your little menu here, you have a few other things. You can send to the back. So if I wanted to put this here and then send it to the back, this is layering. So I can actually put things around things on top of things. So if you have worked with like Photoshop or anything to do with layering, you can actually hide things under other things. You can also just make this larger, but that's kind of a nice little trick too to kind of move things around. You can make, I'm going to move this out of the way. You could make a vocabulary quiz like that, or just for students to try things, right? You could put a word here and you could put the definition under, or you could put the definition here and the word under, so they can just click and drag those things. You can do math facts that way, which is also kind of cool. And I'm going to go back and look at, and I should have looked at that. You guys gave me nice answers and then I didn't look at what they were. So lots of 7, 12s, lots of, Christine, you're my K2, my oddball, which isn't oddball, but just a little different. So think of ways, anything that you would want your students to do over and over again, you could put in that kind of situation. Okay. Then what else do you have? I love, by the way, as you can tell, I love the stickies. Little kids love stickies, like they physically love stickies. And one of my teachers came to me when I was tech integrating. She's like, my kids are just not into writing at all. They're just over it. They're tired of typing, right? And I said, she's like, I wish I had my stickies because my kids could do writing and stickies pretty easily. So I said, oh, wait, we do. I can get them stickies. She's like, what? So we took them into Jamboards. And she had her students do stickies and they would write their thoughts each on a separate sticky. And I'll show you how she set that up. And then the students could take them and could organize them into a fashion that they could then use to write their paper. And she said, number one, she felt like they were just doing such a better job at writing than they had done in the past, because she just gave them a different feel. Now, this is another thing that we did. I went in and I put in a background. So in here, I can add a background. You have like, this is the plain paper, right? This is the dots. If you've ever played that game where you draw the lines. Just have a plain ordinary mouse, which I just showed to you, but you can't see because I took my camera off. That's really funny. I just have a plain ordinary wireless mouse. Okay, that works pretty simply. I grab the pen on the side and I can actually just, print with it if I want. So I don't want anybody to think that I am great at this. I love the paper. Okay, I could keep going, right? But so that's pretty easy. You can also come in here and click on the text box and type, I love the paper, right? Which is what I did before. And then I put punctuation in. So, and then when I stretch this out, this is one of the things I really like about it. It defaults to being like lined paper. I love that. That's so cool. So what are some ways that you could use this? So I like the paper for this specifically. We also did editing of simple sentences. So if I wanted to make this, I could duplicate the sentence. There we go. Guys, can you guys hear me again? It seems like I lost you for a second there, but
Yes, I lost you, but you're back.
say that again.
I can hear you now. Yeah, I did lose you for a few seconds. Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I'm not really sure what's going on. So weird. I think we just had like a drop, just general. Okay. You know, we just go with the flow here. All right, I'm gonna keep my camera off. I think that might be easier. All right, so I just really do like this lined paper. So can I add other things in here? I can, and you can literally be a background fanatic. So here's my paper. I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna add a frame right in there, and it's gonna take me to the next blank slide, and I'm gonna show you how to set a background. So you can set your own background. You have some colors in here too. I can set my own. And I can pull in, this is going to be a Google Doc error. Okay, so we're not going to do that right now. I think we're going to have issues with this in general. Let's see how this rolls. Okay, let's try again. Maybe Google Docs is not going to work right now. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Yep, Google Docs went down. Awesome! I love when that happens in the middle of the training. That's fine. So the way to do it, you'll go up here, you'll choose a background. It'll give you like that spread of like, do you want to upload a photo? Do you want to go to the web? Do you want to go to the drive? All of those options. And you can add your own in. So this is one that I have, and I'm going to show you. It just looks like this. So I just took, I'm going to show you where it sits. I'm going to put it on my desktop. You can see it. Right? I'm going to close that. This is my desktop. So all it is a simple image that I added from that I created in Google Slides. I made a table. So a 4x2, and then I put words in it. So, and then I took that. I'm going to go back out here. I took that. And I set the background, and I just uploaded an image into my site. So when it's a background, it can't be moved. It can't be taken out. Kids can't delete it. And that is just a real simple thing. So now how would I use this? So I've used this in a training a couple times. And what I do is I say to the teachers, grab a sticky and tell me where you want to, or put a question. So you take a sticky like this, and I just say, put a question into this area. So I had this one, how to clean up classroom before the end of the year, right? So this is a great one. Save. So I had them take the sticky, and then all they did was put it in the right box. This is a great way to kind of do some review. This is a way that I like to do some sessions. Sometimes I get asked to do a session and I don't have a lot of guidance. So what I do is I let the participants pick where they want to go, and then we just do it on the fly. And I love that. Like, so I had 8 topics that I was ready to present on, and we took the top 3 and I did 15 minutes. So I had a 5-minute starter. This was my 5-minute starter lesson. Whatever were the top 3 pieces and had the most questions, that's where I went. I did 15 for each, and then I used my last 10 minutes to answer any of the other little questions that were out there. So this is a nice way to do a review with students, or you can have boxes like this where you put, you know, big topics in there, or even before a test, and you can say, okay, who needs to review what? And you can even pair your students up to review that together. Where do you feel the most uncomfortable? That's a really simple way to do that. Or what are you working on your project? And all I did was create that in slides. So you can create anything. So what else could I put in here? I could put like a Venn diagram in here so that my students could add stickies to it, or even writing, because they can write in here, right? They can write in here, pretty easy, right? Well, not so great in here, right? They can write in here without any problems. So that's simple. Now, what if my kids do some great work and I want to keep it? If there's something in here I think is amazing, what could I do? I could actually screenshot it. So I'm on a device where I can print screen, right? So I just have that button, I can print screen, just a button on my laptop, my desktop. I can screenshot it on a Chromebook. It's the image that looks like this. And I'm going to draw you the little picture of it so you know what it looks like. It looks like this up at the top of like the number 6 or 7. I don't know if it has 2 lines or 3 lines. I can't ever remember. It's above your 6 and 7. That's a screenshot button. So you can use that. That will help you screenshot anything that's on. And then you can actually take the screenshot, because once you have it, I am able to drop that into, that was a screenshot I just took of our desktop, right? So I have 3 monitors, so there it is. So you can screenshot anything in. That's really cool. What else can you do besides screenshot? You can also come up here and grab the PDF. So you can also save everything as a PDF. You can also save a frame as an image. That's kind of different. I like that a lot because I feel like it's very valuable. Okay. Forced copy. Now, I don't do this a lot, but I always feel like this is something that's super helpful. Not everybody uses forms, right? I mean, excuse me. Not everybody uses Classroom. Or you're in the midst of making something and you want your kids to have their own copy, but you didn't have time to throw it in a classroom. Can I do that on the fly? Oh, you can. So I am up here in my address bar. Can you see there? I just made it blue. And I'm going to take off everything to the last slash. And when I do that, I'm going to type the word copy. And then I'm going to hit enter. And this is called a forced copy. And this will make me make a copy. Now, how could I use this? I could take this and I could take that information that so I just take that URL. I can come up into my chat and I can put that into the chat. And now you can see what it says. See what it says at the end? It says, oh, you will in just a minute. It says copy. You don't have to click on it. But if you clicked on it, it would make each of you have your own copy. So that can be super helpful when working with students. So if you want to make one on the fly and you want them to each have their own copy that they can work on, you can do that. Now, can I push it out through Classroom? I sure can, right? I can come in and I can push that concept out into Classroom to my students. So when I come into a classroom, and I'm going to show what that looks like. Sure, we'll go in here. I go into classwork and I create an assignment, right? And I'm just going to add one. And I'm going to go to Google Drive and hopefully it's going to work. Look at that, it does. When I go into Google Drive, you'll notice that it comes up in my recents, which really is my best friend. It'll come up in my recents. It's ready to go. And when it's ready to go, then I have my options for view, edit, make a copy. So think about how you want to use it. If you want your students to view it, you'll give them that only to look at it. But if you want them to all edit the document together, you give them edit. But you don't even have to do it that way. You can push it out just through a chat like I did, or you can make a copy for each student. What's the benefit of making a copy? Every student would be on their own. You could create a whole weekly template of here's what we're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Could break up a large topic for them so that they can work their way through it pretty easily. You also can just, I mean, that's the simple parts, I think. What are some other ways? If you were going to work collaboratively on a board, I'm going to go back one. I'm going to add one in here. I could work collaboratively on a board. And on each board, I could come in and I could put my student's name on a sticky. So this is Sharon's board. And Sharon would work in this space. She would come in, I would expand it like this. And I'd say to the students, you'd all have your own sticky. And I'd say, okay, everybody go to their own board. Sharon, you're on 7, right? And so everybody goes in, we make sure they're in, and then we start to ask questions and they start to work on them. Can they go back and forth? Yes, they totally can, but we have to trust them that they're not going to. Okay, next one. You can create manipulatives. So here's the example of just a very simple manipulative, right? To have my students go through and they would be able to move the documents through and match it by color. Now I'm going to, I think this is a nice way to use this. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to use the same exact, my God, my brain is having a hard time today. This same exact concept, and I want to have them, I'm just going to duplicate the slide. That's what I want to see. I'm going to duplicate the slide. I'm going to come to the second slide. Instead of matching by color, I want them to match by shape. Okay. So I didn't have to make the slide twice, but they're going to do the same. So this one's matched by color, one's matched by color, one's matched by shape. And now my students can come through and they can organize them, right? So they can do that work like that. So that's a good thing. So you can always make manipulatives on a Jamboard, which I also think is super helpful. You can also, if it's going to work. So this is where we're going to try something because I'm not sure it's going to work. I can grab an image here. Oh, look at that. I'm going to go to a Google image search and I'm going to look for a quarter. And I'm going to put a quarter in. So now if you're a math teacher, and most of you aren't, some of you are science people, but maybe, now I can't remember who was my science teacher, but one of you lovely people is my science teacher. So I'm going to go look. I can't remember who it is. Stephanie, not Christine. I know it was a longer name, but I just can't remember who. So if Stephanie wanted to make one of these and have her lab components here for science and have students, but she could put all the images up here, have them all scrambled up. They could put them in the right order. So you can add any images. You can also duplicate things like this. You can put money up and then have students do change and show things like that. You could put for younger students, you could put a clock up and have them write on it. To put a diagram up and have them put words next to it. So you can put a diagram up and have students label it. So put a heart diagram up, put a plant diagram up, put a mathematical equation up so they have to balance it. So those are all, thanks, Stephanie. They can do all those things. Anything that you would have typically done on a whiteboard, you can do here. You want your students to sort, they can. What's nice about it, you can save them too. You could make a bunch of manipulatives for your students, save the whole thing as the math manipulative board, and then have them work on that. And that is, I think, such a great thing for COVID right now. I mean, as we're still doing some remote teaching, but I think that has a lot of value in the end road too. So we're not having to work through and play with money and touch it all the time. We students can still touch and move things around. And that can really be helpful. Okay, just a couple ideas, and I'm going to pull this document. I'm going to make sure I went through all my main ideas I did here. I did, I think. Did I? I did. Okay, I'm going to move my document back over. Crowdsourcing is a great way to use this product. And what I mean by that is you can ask your kids questions and they can give you ideas, and you can just have them all put them on a sticky and then you can sort them out. That's a great way to use it. You can do gallery walks. Like your students can do work on here, can take a screenshot, can put it into a Jamboard, and then students can come and make comments on it on a sticky. I also like that. I'm also giving you some large pieces here. This is a wake. I don't know if you've taken a Jamboard session with me before, but this is the ultimate collection of Jamboard templates. I don't even know if it's ultimate, but there's a lot on here. Holly Clark has lots of information. These are free to take and use. The other person is on Twitter, and I don't know if you use Twitter. If you don't, you should use Twitter, because just for this person alone, it's worth it. She's gifted talk, and this is Julie Dweck, I think. Yeah, Julia, excuse me. Julia Dweck. When you come in here and you look at her, it's called Steaming Up Jamboards is the question she'll ask. Oh, not the question, sorry. It's the it's her site, her Twitter sign, Twitter account. Wow, having a tough morning. And she makes all of these Jamboards that are available through her link tree. So you'll see, like, here's one just on, I don't even know what this is, but when you click on it, it makes a copy, and then you have the ability to use this. So go in there and look. They're not all just math. They're not all just high school. She does do a lot of math. She does a lot of ELA. So I don't even know what this means, but I'll tell you what, her stuff is phenomenal. Once you have your own copy, look at. I mean, so this is a whole, she's just amazing. So the stuff that she has in here, here's her link tree, right? She has vocabulary, logic problems. She has art things. She does math things. She does science things. Fantastic. Those are all free. Girl, I love some free stuff. All right. And then I think the last piece I gave you at the bottom is I gave you a couple examples of some things that I've made. Feel free to take a copy of those. So I'm going to stop sharing. Any questions that you may have. I'm really sorry we had that bubble. Not a problem, Stephanie. We're going to be done early. How do you like that? You're welcome. I know you guys were in yesterday's session. I did not get yesterday's stuff sent out, so I will send it out this morning and you will have it. So very soon. So we are done. I will send you the link, the video. I will mark your attendance as complete, and we will be set to go. So thank you, everybody. Always feel free to reach out. My new stuff will be in the catalog. It'll be available July 1st. I'll be doing stuff in the second week of July and then August. I'm not going to be doing very much in the last 2 weeks of July, as I am doing some tech camps. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And it was great working with you guys. Bye.
Thanks, Virginia.
You're welcome.